Tonight, Senator Bob Mendenz's case ends in a mistrial.
Plus, a nuclear plant in Idaho goes back online for the first time in over 20 years.
And more allegations of inappropriate behavior directed at Roy Moore and Kevin Spacey. Murrow News 8 starts right now.
From Studio B on the campus of Washington State University, this is Pullman's only nightly newscast. This is Murrow News 8.
Good evening, I'm Majestic Storm.
And I'm Irish Concepcion. Welcome to Murrow News 8. The Avalanche Bridge in Snoqualmie Pass is complete. In an effort to increase safety and traffic flow on I-90, the new bridge allows avalanches to pass underneath, preventing closures in the future. The bridge is part of a phase in a 15-mile project that stretches from Hyack to Easton. The $550 million project was funded by a 2005 gas tax.
Before students check out and head for that bridge to go home, ASWSU students work to pass legislation for freshman delegates. The delegates will now be required to complete 2 outreach hours each month. This is to push those in the WSU government to interact with the students that they are representing. The WSU budget cuts are putting students involved with performing arts in a very unique position. The loss of the program may seem minimal to some, but Emma Jerome learned how it's making a big impact for others.
These students are a part of STAGE, Wazoo's student theater group, and they are auditioning for what may be the last performance that Wazoo Performing Arts has. After an announcement last week by Kirk Scholes announcing the defunding of Wazoo PA, the fate of everyone involved in the program is unclear.
I feel like the president and the administration that has cut our funding is cutting it because they feel like it's just so minimal and they're just disposable, but we're very talented.
One thing that is clear is that 4 paid faculty jobs will be lost. This will force student clubs associated with the performing arts program to find new faculty advisors or cease to continue.
They won't have access to the spaces if there is no professional staff here.
STAGE, Nut House, and other performance groups perform here in Wadley Theater. This is provided by the Wazoo Performing Arts Center. After that center gets their funding cut, those groups won't have that.
Created by late President Elson S. Floyd in 2011, Wazoo Performing Arts was an outlet of creativity not only for students, but the community.
Is to give them self-confidence through the development of communication skills and putting themselves out there.
Although the performing arts program will no longer exist at Wazoo, the students currently involved have made it clear that they will continue to have a presence on campus.
There's going to be a lot of kinks that are going to have to be worked out after this year. But we're strong, we're theater kids, and we don't give up.
Emma Jerome, Murrow News 8.
He's written music for Star Wars, performed on the soundtrack of Frozen, and played with artists like Michael Bublé. Aishanae Stivels Taylor sat down with Paul Henning to discuss his life in and outside of Hollywood.
He may have flown in from LA, but Henning has strong roots in the Palouse. His mother's maiden name is Neal, and you can spot businesses all over the city bearing his family name. The transition to a big city wasn't easy.
I miss the small town atmosphere. I miss, knowing everybody. You feel very one of the herd in a big city like that.
He says he found a lot of his confidence at his first job here in Pullman.
We used to do a talent show for our Christmas party. I would just hand Paul music. I'd walk on stage at the talent show, I'd hand Paul music right on the spot, and then I would sing something and Paul would play it. He'd never seen it, didn't know I was going to give him, he had no idea, and he would just sight read it and play it.
Part of Henning's success comes simply from him answering the phone.
Well, sometimes things come out of the blue, but most of the time you kind of find yourself put in the right place at the right time because you've actually positioned yourself to be there.
LA has a system they call Dateline. Contractors call musicians to work on their projects, and sometimes it works on a first-come, first-served basis.
So getting a job in Hollywood could just mean you were the first to answer.
When he began his studies, Henning's main focus was piano and composition. He never thought he'd make a living for himself with the violin.
He was such a brilliant mind that he learned so fast. And having him here and week after week just giving him harder and harder music, and he was able to just do whatever I asked.
Paul Henning is an inspiration to aspiring musicians, and he hopes his guidance throughout his workshops will help them in their future careers. Aisha Civils Taylor, Murrow News 8.
Moving on to our neighboring state of Idaho, researchers are back in the nuclear testing facility finding ways to reduce nuclear waste. In the United States, there are no permanent nuclear waste deposits, making nuclear plants more vulnerable to hazardous meltdowns. One director says that the nuclear facility in Idaho is the only one in the world capable of testing accident-tolerant fuel.
After the break, a Baltimore detective is gunned down doing his job.
And more allegations of sexual harassment directed toward Roy Moore and Kevin Spacey. Stay with us.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
After 11 weeks of deliberation, the trial investigating Democratic Senator Paul Menendez ended in mistrial today. Senator Menendez faced charges of conspiracy, bribery, and honesty services fraud, which threatened to send him to prison for decades. Prosecutors say Menendez accepted more than $600,000 in political contributions, as well as free rides on a private jet owned by Dr. Solomon Melgen. After interviewing all 12 members of the jury and declaring they were hopelessly deadlocked, Judge William Walls declared the case a mistrial.
2 more women accused Roy Moore of pursuing a relationship with them when they were in their teens. The encounters described by Gina Richardson and Kala McLaughlin occurred between 1977 and 1982. At the time, Moore served as an attorney in Etowah County in northeastern Alabama. Moore earned the reputation of pursuing young women from employees at a mall in Alabama. The mall, where both women claimed to work, eventually banned Moore. Richardson even recalls Moore calling her at school while she was in work at class. As Moore faces additional accusers, so does Kevin Spacey. The Old Vic Theatre in London uncovered 20 allegations of inappropriate behavior by the actor. Spacey worked an artistic director at the theater for over a decade in the 2000s. The allegations covered 1995 to as recent as 2013. The theater said most claims before 2019 are yet to be verified. Representatives for Spacey have not responded to requests for the comment. A Baltimore homicide detective died after being shot in the head, and the manhunt for the shooter continues. The suspect shot Detective Sean M. Suter while he investigated a triple homicide in one of the city's most violent neighborhoods. He spoke to a suspicious man in a vacant lot, then the man fired a single gunshot at Suter's head. Authorities say the suspect may be injured and they are offering a reward of $69,000 for information about the shooter.
Wildlife activists are infuriated by recently lifted restrictions on animal imports. The United States Department of Interior is now allowing elephant trophies to be brought into the United States from Zimbabwe and Zambia. Back in 2014, the Obama administration created restrictions on imports to help protect the decreasing population of elephants in Africa. Thanksgiving break is just a couple days away, Irish.
That's right. Nick Bartlett will let us know what the weather is doing over the weekend.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
We want to make sure that everyone is prepared for the driving conditions and return home safely to their relatives over this Thanksgiving break. Nick, what do you have for us?
Well, Majestic, today is really interesting. We've had some sun, we might have a little snow later, and we've had some light rain throughout the day. It's definitely been a wide variety of weather today. It's definitely been a unique mix, something that you only see out here in the Palouse, something you never really see in Seattle. And as we switch over to the west side of the state, or excuse me, as we switch to tomorrow's weather, tomorrow will be around 44 degrees. In the morning, it'll be around the freezing temperatures. You want a little bit warmer jacket, I would say, than today. Maybe a puffy coat, something to keep yourself warm, just something to basically keep yourself warm and you don't want to freeze to death out there. And as we switch over to the state map, here in Seattle, or excuse me, over in Seattle, it's going to be around 45 degrees. It's going to be rainy all throughout the west side. In Vancouver, in Olympia, the whole west side is definitely rainy. Not something we're gonna have to worry about too much on the east side this weekend. And as we head over to the east side of the state, you can see that Pullman is again around that 45 to 32 degree weather. It's just to have multiple layers, just really be prepared for anything out here in the Palouse. You never know what type of weather you're really gonna get. And as we switch over to the 5-day forecast, we'll start with Saturday over here. And for the weekend, again, kind of that middle range weather, not too hot, not too cold, around 44 to 33 are going to be your highs and lows. As we get later into the week, it's going to be around that similar temperature. And as we get to the end of the week, it's going to be very rainy. So back to you at the desk and grab a raincoat for the end of the week.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
A suicide bomber struck a Kabul political gathering today, killing at least 12 people. People were gathered to support one of Afghanistan's most powerful leaders when the bomber triggered explosives. In a statement in Amin's news agency, the Islamic State claimed responsibility. However, the group is known to assert links to attacks without offering any proof. The Taliban denied having any connection. You guys, I can hardly believe that Thanksgiving is almost here. I'm so excited to go home and to see my family and to, of course, have Thanksgiving stuffing.
That definitely sounds delicious. I'll actually be in California, so I'm excited to escape those Washington rains.
I'm excited for the mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, and anything that has sugar and dessert.
So I'm a little jealous that you're going to be in California. The weather there is looking great, and it's starting to get so cold here in the Palouse.
For sure. Any plans, Nick?
Thank you for joining us tonight. Watch us every night at 7 and 10 from Pullman's only nightly newscast.
Have a great night, and don't forget to follow Murrow News 8 on Facebook and Twitter.
Good night, Pullman.